I want to introduce you to someone. When devastating floods hit Iowa, Nikki was washed away from a factory farm. Nikki swam for miles before making her way to a levee, where she built a nest, gave birth to 7 piglets, and spent the next week protecting them from the flood. Hi, I'm Steve-O. Pigs like Nikki are some of the smartest animals on Earth, even smarter than the dogs and cats we live with. Like dolphins and elephants, pigs understand how mirrors work. And like some primates, they've even been taught to play simple video games. Nikki has dreams when she sleeps at night, and her piglets understand their names and respond when called. Like dogs, pigs are loyal and affectionate, and they love a good belly rub. As terrible as the flood was for Nikki and her babies, it actually saved their lives, because what came before was even worse. At a nearby factory farm, Nikki had spent her entire life locked in a metal cage, so small she could barely move. Pigs like Nikki are raised in such cramped conditions that they often go insane from stress, abuse, and lack of mental stimulation. On that farm, Nikki's piglets would have been taken away from her just weeks after they were born. They would have been castrated and had their tails chopped off, all without pain relief. If they were sick, or if they didn't grow fast enough, they would have been killed by being slammed headfirst into the ground, or by being tossed into bins and gassed to death. All of this is standard in the pork industry. Older piglets are crammed into filthy pens. They never spend a day outdoors. They never feel the sun on their backs, or grass beneath their feet. At just 6 months old, they're stuffed onto transport trucks and shipped to slaughter plants, where they're hung upside down, stunned with electrical tongs, and have their throats slit. The sad reality is that nearly all farms, whether large or small, local or distant, treat pigs like Nikki with incredible cruelty. That's why I stopped eating meat, and it was so easy it's ridiculous. There are delicious meat-free alternatives to anything you can eat, and they are way healthier. Cutting cruelty out of my diet has benefited every area of my life. I feel so much better physically, mentally, and spiritually, it's amazing. If you make the same choice, every year you will personally spare 31 animals like Nikki from a life of daily misery. And you'll be in good company. About 15 million Americans have decided to ditch meat entirely, and many more are eating less meat. According to the American Dietetic Association, there are a lot of health benefits to going meat-free. Bottom line, a cruel diet is bad for your body, and a kind diet is good for your body. But now let me introduce you to someone else. Symphony was one of millions of egg-laying hens confined on a single farm in Ohio. Symphony's life was also saved by a natural disaster. Tornadoes demolished the dark warehouse she was kept in, and farm sanctuary volunteers rescued her from the wreckage. Chickens like Symphony are intelligent, unique individuals, with personalities every bit as varied as those of dogs and cats. Scientists have found that chickens like Symphony can anticipate the future, and that they pass knowledge down to their children. Sadly, actions that would be felony animal cruelty if done to dogs or cats are perfectly legal when done to Symphony and other farm animals. At the hatchery, egg industry workers quickly separate the male chickens from the females. Because male chicks don't lay eggs, they're not useful to farmers, and so they're killed on the first day of their lives. If Symphony had been a boy, she would not be alive today. Her tiny body would have been crushed by being tossed, alive and fully conscious, into a giant grinding machine. This is standard practice in the industry. But what was in store for Symphony was even worse. First, part of Symphony's sensitive beak was sliced off. Then, she was packed into a wire cage so small she could barely move. Until her rescue, she had probably never even fully spread her wings. Chickens like Symphony often lose their feathers from constantly rubbing against the metal bars, and their feet become crippled by the wire flooring. Chickens and turkeys raised for meat have been genetically selected to grow so large that they often suffer heart attacks, crippling leg disorders, and chronic pain. Like most farm animals, they get no individual veterinary attention. Instead, a sick bird will slowly suffer to death on the floor of the barns. A worker might also break her neck or club her to death if she becomes sick. There are no laws that effectively protect the welfare of chickens and turkeys at the slaughter plant. This footage was taken at a small, organic, free-range chicken farm that invited filmmakers in to take video. Even at the very best farms, the treatment of animals is far from humane. Few of us would want to subject Symphony to a horrible death like this one. By leaving chicken off your plate, you can spare 31 animals like Symphony each year from this cruelty. Lastly, let me introduce you to Fanny. At just 4 years old, Fanny was so sick and crippled from her life on a farm that she was unable to even stand before being rescued and brought to Farm Sanctuary. Cows like Fanny are intelligent. They remember faces for years, and when they solve a problem, they'll sometimes jump in the air with excitement. Like other cows, Fanny has a best friend and a group that she prefers to hang out with. Sadly, on today's farms, cows endure mutilations without pain relief, including dehorning, having their tails cut off, castration, and branding with a hot iron. Female cows like Fanny, including those on organic and local farms, spend most of their entire lives standing on filthy concrete floors or crammed into small mud lots. All of the footage you're seeing represents the standard treatment of animals on today's farms. Pigs, cows, and chickens aren't the only ones who endure unnecessary suffering for the sake of our taste buds. Scientific studies have made it clear that fish feel pain and suffer like other animals. They just don't have the vocal cords to scream. Marine biologists tell us that fish are also intelligent and unique individuals who can be highly social. They sometimes eavesdrop to pick up new information, and they will often rub gently against one another for pleasure, just like a cat rubbing against your leg. Yet fish endure unimaginable cruelty. As they're dragged up from the water, the intense change in pressure can rupture their swim bladder or cause their eyes to pop out of their head. Many are cut into pieces while still fully conscious. The massive trawler nets used to catch wild fish also catch and kill millions of dolphins, turtles, and other animals each year. Today, many fish are confined on fish farms, crowded, feces-filled pools where they're packed so tightly together that they can barely move around. I hope that you'll remember Nikki. She's every bit as intelligent, affectionate, and able to feel pain as the cats and dogs we live with. You wouldn't personally do any of the things you saw in this video to Nikki, Symphony, Fanny, or any other animal, so I'm sure you don't want to pay others to hurt them for you. Each of us can choose to leave Nikki and other animals off our plates and replace them with delicious animal-free foods that we already know and love. By making this choice, every year you will personally spare 31 individuals like Nikki from a lifetime of misery. And it's easier than ever. There are meat-free items in every grocery store and in many restaurant chains as well. Ethnic restaurants like Chinese, Mexican, Italian, and Thai offer delicious meat-free options. And I'm here to help. Meal suggestions, recipes, and other information to help you make the switch are just a click away. On behalf of Nikki, Fanny, Symphony, and every other animal at Farm Sanctuary, thank you.